You do this, you do this in all areas of your life. Because you're a visionary, so you see it and you know what it's supposed to look like. So you want everything to look like that. But the reason God shows it to you is because you are a visionary and you know what it's supposed to look like. But you keep waiting for it to look like that instead of realizing that you're supposed to get it to be like that. You are the one. God is in you. He showed you what you are supposed to do. And we keep thinking that God is showing me what he's going to do. No, God is showing you what you are supposed to do and how it's going to look because you're partnering with him. So I just had to release that because that wasn't just for you, that was for me too. Stop waiting for things to be perfect. We are in an imperfect world. We are the perfection God sent on this earth to draw things and make them part of his kingdom. That's it.
Why you gotta step all over my toes? Why you gotta do that?
I didn't. Why you want to be on this call? I'm getting off because I ain't even want to say nothing.
Hey, it was my turn the other day, Lisa. Now it's Crystal's turn. Yeah, I stepped on your toes the other day. Now it's Crystal's turn. She can dance with you.
That was so good. You see, I had to record it. I was like, Lord, why she got to do all that? Why she got to say all that? Why she got to be all up in my Kool-Aid?
Oh, because you're supposed to get your PhD? I didn't say that. Michael, who said that? Didn't she say that? That she was supposed to get her PhD? I was just repeating what you said, that God said.
I think God's telling all of us to get our house in order. Get about your own business and don't worry about anybody else. Just you and God sort your own stuff. Encourage each other, but don't go trying to fix everybody when you haven't even been able to fix yourself. We spend so much time doing that, don't we? We spend so much time helping other people. And the Lord's, I had an amazing sentence come up the other day from one of my mentors, and it was, while you keep missing the lesson, you're going to keep reliving the pain. And I'm like, ow, Lordy, that one hurt. It's like, okay, what's the lesson? So, yeah, been working on my book.
that thing of that self-doubt and fear, you're talking about major. I know that I still deal with it. There's no question about it. I'm not afraid to say that I do. But because you play yourself small when the Lord is like, I called you to do X, Y, and Z. Like you called who? For what? So it's major for some of us. It may not be as major for others, but
yeah, I think no matter how old we get, we keep trying to fit in. We keep trying to find our place to belong. And it's like, why do we keep trying to fit in when God made us to stand out? We're called to be separate. We're not called to fit in, like society. The amount of people I keep coming across that are, kind of dogging on everybody who's, has a different opinion. So if they want black and you want white, then you're the one that's wrong because you're not wanting everything the same as them. And it's like, well, hang on. Since when does everybody drink the same beverage, eat the same food? We all have different tastes, and we've all got to walk our own walk. I'm in a different time zone to you guys. So what? We're still walking the walk together, but we're walking it in our own time zone, in our own location. And, we're not going to be, if the world likes us, we know we've messed it up. So I mean, if people are kind of speaking badly about you and tearing you down and gossiping and praying against you, it's like, I've a right, because that's exactly what they did to the Lord. They just wanted to destroy him, those who thought they were, all that. So we're in good company.
I think the other thing that while you're talking, Susan, I'm thinking about some people that the Lord has told them that if they don't do what he's told them to do, then God won't be able to get the glory. He won't be able to shine in our lives. So, yeah. So what is it that God has, let's talk about that, guys. What is it that God has called us to do individually that we still need some support to even take the step, or we need some support to take another step, or we need some support because we need to go a different direction with it? There's more than one way to get to the same thing. Sometimes we're thinking God wants us to go right, and really he said, no, I want you to go left. So what is it that God is doing in our lives individually now that you could use some support with?
One of the areas that I'm struggling with is healthy boundaries. Because I don't know what it is about my personality. It's either hot or cold, period. That's it. No lukewarm with me. It's either hot or cold. So, like, when I've forgiven and I'm like, hey, we good. People sometimes take that as I'm all in. We good, but don't come to my door. Like, we're good, but I understand the spirit that you walk in, and you're manipulative and you're a narcissist. I'm good with you because you are a child of God. And who am I to judge you? My job is to pray for you. But me saying that we're good does not mean that we're going to break bread. We're good, meaning if you absolutely need something and God says yes, then I will. But we're not friends. And when that boundary is breached, then I turn into a lion and I'm going to bite you. And then they get confused and are like, but I thought we were good. I thought you forgave me. I thought people don't understand the difference. Forgiveness means I understand what you did. Yes, it hurt, but I'm not holding that against you. But I know who you are. And God did not tell me that I am a mat or a garbage can. So I don't have to receive what you're giving because we're good. We're good means that I'm not holding any of that against you. But don't mistake my kindness as a weakness, because I'm strong in him and the power of his might to know that your claws are still out. But I love you even though you're trying to kill me. And I'm having a problem, not with the boundary part, but not attacking back. Because you come for me, and it takes the angels and the host of heaven to stop me from getting you. So it's that godly rebuke. And then I saw a post. I don't know if you guys know Tabitha Brown. She's a social media person. And I don't know if you know Wendy Williams. Wendy Williams is messy. I lived in New York, so I know her. And she's a radio personality. I don't personally know her, but I know of her. She's a radio personality. She's big in the industry, but she's messy. She's all about gossip. She tears people down. She just went through a horrible divorce. Husband cheated on her, yada, yada, yada. So Miss Tabitha Brown, she's a social media personality. She's vegan. Her voice is so soothing. She's a woman of God. Like, you could feel it all through her. You see her posts and stuff on social media. Sometimes I get her YouTube videos because I'm trying to do better with eating. So I love her recipes, and she gives good recommendations of different things to try. And God is blessing her. The blessings are manifesting now. She talks about that all the time. The blessings are manifesting. It's been a long time. Her husband, 15 years at LAPD, and so she's retiring him now that she's made it. And Wendy Williams made a remark about how he gonna dog her out because Wendy Williams' husband dogged him out. And when I tell you, Miss Tabitha Brown, in love, rebuked her so well with the love of Christ. Rebuke that spirit with the love of Christ. I definitely have to share it with you because it had me in tears. That's how I wanted to give her an offering. That's how good it was. It was so peaceful and so calm and so loving. And it made me think of that scripture about being kind to someone who was so evil to you is like heaping coals on their head. And it was so beautiful. And I was like, God, that's what I want to do. I want to do that. When somebody breaches the boundary, I want to do that instead of turning into a lion. I want to be a lamb instead of biting their head off. I want to counter it with love so that they understand that I really do have no animosity, because my response is not to put up a defense or to pull out a sword like Peter. My response should be to love them as I'm standing at my door with my foot so you can't get in, but to do it in love. So that's where I'm struggling to rebuke in love. And sometimes when you use the word rebuke, it seems so harsh, but it's not. It's not. It can be done in a way where you say, oh, I think I was just rebuked. Because you're so confused, because you hear the peace and you hear the love and you feel it. You don't just hear it, but you feel the love. And then you got to think, oh, wait a minute. Did they just tell me no? And that's where I want to be. I want to get to that. So that's truly what I'm focusing on. But to get there, I need to be grounded, mind, body, and spirit. So I've been doing some meditation and doing some cleansing, cleansing to clean out the toxins in my body, because toxins, they just are what they are. They're toxins and they're toxic, and different things can cause a certain reaction in you. So if you're not good in the way you feel internally, it comes out externally. So I'm working on.
Can I try something with you right now?
Yes, please do. Please.
I don't know how many of you are familiar with, I'm trying to think who's teaching this. I'm not, I want to say it's Arthur Burke. I think it's Arthur Burke's teaching where we have different parts of our spirit man. Mm-hmm. Are you familiar with that at all?
Somewhat, yeah.
So that's where I'm going.
Okay.
So I have an idea of what you're referring to, and because we have these different parts of our spirit, there may be a specific part of your spirit that arises and takes control. That's where I'm going.
I believe that.
But what I want you to do is ask the Father, what part of your spirit needs to come to the front in those situations.
Okay.
So I want you to just close your eyes and go.
No, he already told me. He already.
So
he said patience.
He said patience. So patience isn't one of I gotta go get the book. Give me 1 second, guys.
I so hear you, Crystal. I so hear you.
Yeah,
either there's my response is slightly different. I tend to divert back to shrinking back instead of rising up, but to do it in a way that, like you said, like a diplomat. So you can tell them to go to hell, but in such a way they're actually looking forward to the trip and they're getting excited about going on that trip. And then they walk away and they're like, say what?
right.
I'm working on that, so for me it's sort of like the opposite way. I tend to shrink back when I've had my boundary crossed, but then I get angry with me not rising up. So I'm learning how to rise up, but doing it in the right way so that they're literally not walking away dismembered.
So this is about the redemptive gifts. There's the redemptive gift of prophet, servant, teacher, exhorter, giver, ruler, and mercy. So I want you to ask the Lord, which of those parts of your spirit, even though we know it's patience, should be responding?
Mercy.
Yeah. Mercy.
Mercy.
That makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. I've been kind of, I don't know, last couple of months, every now and then I'll think about it. And I keep saying I'm going to read on these all, but you can also get them off of YouTube. But I do believe that sometimes, so that means that, so ask him this, which part of your spirit had been responding?
Ruler.
Absolutely. That's what I saw. I said, oh, your ruler is talking.
Laying it down.
Yeah. So that means that your ruler probably, you can talk to him, but your ruler probably comes to the front more because it's been used more. That muscle has been used more. So whichever one, I don't know. So, okay. So ask the Lord, which is your dominant gift? The prophet, the servant, the teacher, the exhorter, the giver, the ruler, mercy.
Prophet.
Absolutely. 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 Oh, I like this. Absolutely. So that's your most dominant gift. And which is your least dominant gift? Hey, Rebecca.
Let me write them down again so you don't have to keep saying them.
I want to for everybody.
Oh.
Prophet, servant, teacher, exhorter, giver, ruler, or mercy. So which one have you been working the least? Or which one, yeah, however we say that.
This is weird, but I've been given the least. And that's weird to me because I know I'm a giver.
Oh, he said the giver? Okay, hold on. I'm going to read the giver. I'm going to read what the giver is because I don't know if that means giving with, finances.
No, but I get what you're saying. But in my interpretation of giving is giving him.
So I'm gonna sit here and we're gonna read for a minute.
Okay.
So the biblical examples of the giver, I'm going to give you that first, are Abraham, Jacob, Job, and Matthew. A giver is the most difficult to peg by behavioral characteristics. They are more diverse, adaptable, and flexible. There is much more to this gift than money. A giver can take a concept or idea and bring it to birth because they desire to protect and nurture new ideas. The giver has a generational worldview and a desire to prepare for the next generation. This contrasts with Hezekiah, who did not have a generational worldview. God told Hezekiah that everything he and his fathers had stored up would be carried off to Babylon, so that nothing would be left for the descendants and some would be slaves in foreign lands. Hezekiah was okay with that because there would be peace and security in his lifetime. Isaiah 39:5-8. God intends givers to be life givers, releasing generational blessings into their family line, not primarily money. Givers tend to be independent and territorial. What's theirs is theirs. They have the ability to find favor with others in terms of money. They are tremendous networkers and have great powers of persuasion. One of the greatest strengths is to get people of different views to work well together toward a goal. They have a need for safety. For givers, everything hinges on their relationship with God. If givers lack holiness and intimacy with God, they will not possess their birthright. Okay, let me keep going. This is getting good to me. I haven't read this, so I hope everybody okay with this?
Yeah, go for it.
The principle of stewardship parallels the gift of giver. The dual strongholds are fear and control. The root iniquity that drives these dual strongholds is ownership, and the central virtue that is needed to overcome them is faith. The ultimate calling of the giver is not just to create changes in his own lifetime, but to extend those changes generationally. And I just want to make sure everybody knows that we all have a giver. This is what I'm reading. Everybody has it. It's part of the redemptive gifts that he's given to all of us. It's just how much have you worked this muscle? So this is for everybody. Stewardship is fulfilling someone else's agenda with someone else's resources. There are two common perversions of stewardship. The first is using somebody else's resources to accomplish your own agenda. The other happens often in the religious community as somebody does God's agenda with their own resources, instead of asking God how he wants to provide the resources. Oh, just stepped all over my toes. I got to read that one again. And this is what they're saying is a perversion. The other happens often in the religious community as somebody does God's agenda with their own resources, instead of asking God how he wants to provide the resources. The opposite of stewardship is ownership. Ownership is not often thought of as evil in the United States. People pay their taxes, and after they pay their taxes, they have ownership of their money. The government does not tell them how to spend the rest of the money. They are free to spend the balance, and that is ownership. However, the New Testament says we are not owners of anything. Everything, including our life, belongs to God. We cannot give God a tithe. We cannot give God a tithe and spend the rest the way we want to. We are living sacrifices, and everything that we have and everything we are belongs to him. We are to care for it as stewards. I'm going to have to mute you there. Hold on for a second. We are to care for it as stewards, as something that belongs to somebody else. We are to use it to accomplish God's agenda. That is very different from ownership. Ownership produces two undesirable fruits: arrogance, using resources for oneself, and fear, holding on to resources for fear one might lose them. Ownership represents the myth that individuals have the right to limit what God does with us and through us. Stewardship says that even our life is in God's hand, and we can take it whenever he wishes. The call of givers is to be a good steward over all that they are giving, acting wisely so that the generations to follow may benefit. Now it tells us what the authority of a giver is: to detect, protect, and bring forth new birth and nurture it, authority to bless generationally, authority to affirm God's design and the birthright of a giver, to release life generational blessings, and to produce life-giving systems / organizations through holiness and intimacy with God. So this book was given to me in March, and I've been trying. I really haven't done anything with it yet. It's called Design for Fulfillment, but it's not by Arthur Burke, but I think he okayed it. But he talks about these gifts, and what our major gift is, what our major weakness, and everybody has weaknesses with whatever their gifts are. So did that do anything for you, Crystal? Tell me what it did.
Yeah, it's right in line. It's right in line with everything he's been talking to me about. Because one of the things that he showed me is the reason why he brought me to this land, to provide for the family. And when he brought me to New Mexico, I didn't understand. And then he began to show me different things. And he even told me that I was going to operate a city of refuge. And the purpose was for generations, not just for my personal DNA, but for his DNA. And I've been scrambling around like, okay, so how's this going to happen? And then I got in my mind and I was like, all right, so whoever doesn't want to do it this way, that ain't God's way. And I'm going to make sure, and now I'm putting myself above God's plan. And that's why when you said give, when you start reading, I'm thinking, oh, he's telling me to go back to the true plan and intention. And the purpose is to be a steward for what he, stop worrying about who gonna come in and try to come in and mess it up and do this and that and the third, because he has everything in place. I'm trying to usurp him when he was the one who gave me the plan, period. So yeah, he just checked me real quick.
I love the way he does it. I love the way he does it, because he does it gentle, yet it's for you. It's coming straight at you.
Yep.
That's good. Anybody else know what their main gift is? Thank you. Who put it? Somebody put in the chat.
Michael, I pulled it up too. That's
Michael, which one are you? What's your main one?
I'm not sure yet. I was listening to Crystal was saying. Go to the next person. Maybe I'll have an answer later.
Well, I think that's something we can do is ask the Lord what our main gift is, and if we've been operating in it, and then what's the one that we really haven't been operating in. And we'll just do some reading today and kind of see where we're going, where we're headed. How's that?
And that book is called Designs of Fulfillment.
A study of the redemptive gifts by Charles R. Whale Jr. Oh, the forward is by Arthur Burke. So yeah, he definitely approved it.
W-A-L-E or W-H-A-L-E?
With the L. Charles Whale, W-A-L-E Jr. And I think this book is like 20 years old. Copyright 2007. So it's been around for a while.
It's good.
Arthur Burke has such revelatory teaching. He's way ahead of his time.
No, definitely.
He's way ahead of his time. He's somebody that I definitely follow. I follow, he's not on Facebook. There's still a group on Facebook with it. And I also he's got teachings that he releases something Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I got it on my phone.
Really?
Sapphire Leadership Group. Sometimes I don't keep up with it, but he's always releasing something. I sit there like, Lord, what were you thinking about when you made his brain?
I did download some Sapphire stuff a long time ago.
He's yeah. He reminds me of Michael. I've asked the Lord that many times about Michael's brain. I'm like, Lord, what were you thinking about? I mean, we think so totally different. It's so funny to me. But sometimes I'm like, what? I think that I think one of the things that this goes back to something Susan said earlier. Because God has made us so different, and yet we're able to work together and mesh together and hear and listen to one another. I may not even agree with you. I may not even figure out what you're talking about, but there's something about the body of Christ using all parts of us wherever we are. I just think that's one of the best things that this group does. I really do. I love it. I just love it. I love you all. So anybody have anybody get from the Lord what they are? Prophet, servant, teacher, exhorter, giver, ruler, mercy. What's their dominant gift and their least dominant gift?
I don't have, from a very long time, I function in all. I'm like a red blood cell.
Say it again. You're not what?
I'm like a red blood cell. The red blood.
Okay.
That moves around. I function in all of it, I realize, at various times when I'm needed.
Mm-hmm.
And he's always said that to me. And I've always seen that to say when I'm in a place to function as a rule, to rule, I step in because I'm in him. And I know that this is what I need to do. When I need to be a prophet and I give words, people will say, oh, you're a prophetess. You go somewhere and it says, oh, prophet. I'm thinking, no, it's just Rebecca. It just happened to be at that point in time. It's not an office, So I know for sure from a very long time, like you said, you're red blood cells, you move around the body when I need you here because you are multifunctional and you don't question, you walk quite easily with me. I know for sure. So there's some people that have specific, some people stay in the kidney to walk in the kidney. Some people stay in the heart to walk in the heart. Some people stay in the brain to walk in the brain. But you have the blood cell that goes and function the all different parts of the organ that moves around like that. And sometimes
that's what we're all supposed to do, Rebecca, because we're all supposed to be, to be that flexible. We really are.
Yeah. So that's one. So when it says which one, I would say I don't have a dominant. I just happen to, when I step in, when I step here, I go, and that's when I step into a new church, they think I'm a long-standing member because I just get right into it. I do things, sometimes I will be singing in the audience. I will be thinking, oh my goodness, I would like to come now. How long? I just came in today. I just think, what? You just came in today? Yeah, it's Dad's house. This needs to be done. We get on with it. I'm in Christ. You're sensitive to him. You want things done. You move. I'm not sitting there playing, oh, I need to be this. No. Go straight into it.
Well, the other thing that can take this teaching further is that find out what your city, your province, your state, your territory, your country, same thing. There's like the USA is, if I'm not mistaken, is a prophet nation. But we can even ask the Lord, well, even, what's the design for where I'm living at? Have you asked the Lord, Rebecca, in terms of what?
United Kingdom, it's an evangelist nation. Okay. I know that when the brothers were alive, the Wesley, there was a believer in every home. That was how much they evangelized across this nation. So that's what this nation is meant to be. And that's what we're releasing back into.
So which one would that fit into? Because take a look. Do you see the chat?
I've seen the chat.
Okay, so evangelist isn't one of these. So which one would that fit into? The prophet, servant, teacher, exhorter, giver?
It will be the teaching, because the problem is in this nation you have 2-3 generation that don't know the Lord. They've never stepped into church. They don't know anything about the love of the Lord.
That's all over now, right? Want to know the truth about it. I feel like that's
So it's like that here. So there's a lot of more teaching on one-to-one on a larger scale, but again, just concentrating on the love and who Father is and not the person, you know. So yes, it will go back, but that's the thing. The main thing is teaching and releasing the love, the mercy of God, because there's the song that we sing popular in United Kingdom, almost all the Church of England Catholic School sings is "Shine, Jesus, shine, fill this land with the Father's glory, blaze spirit, blaze, set her heart on fire. Flood this nation with your grace and mercy. Send forth your word, Lord, and let there be light." They sing it almost everywhere, all the time. And that's the song. Again, anytime we gather, as long we bring that song, sing it, because you need the manifestation of that words to that song to flood our nation.
That's good. That's good. Michael, you figured out yours yet?
I think what I'm getting is that my challenge at the moment is not in this area. I've got another challenge. So before I go off topic and mess up your plan, Lisa, maybe you want to see if anyone
I don't
else
have a plan.
Okay, but I'm happy if anyone else wants to share on this before I kind of divert onto,
Okay.
I guess, where my challenge is. Let's stick with this and see where everyone else is at.
Serene, are you hearing? Which way for you?
Yes, Lisa. I think I am a steward. I am on stewardship because Lord has given me so much. As Crystal also have discussed, that I am piled up with His gifts, and I am accountable to it as a
Do you
steward.
see in the chat those specific gifts we're talking about? Did you see that in the chat?
Yes.
So which one,
Yes.
we're asking you to check with the Lord and see which is your dominant gift and which one is your least dominant gift.
I think when I am carrying this idea of heavenly realms, which is certainly new for my nation, I am a teacher and a giver, both.
So check in with the Lord on those and see what He's saying. That's what we're asking everybody to do now.
I have to work like a servant with and do the teaching and give the new idea.
So what's
It's
your
certainly
dominant gift? What's your dominant gift?
teacher.
Okay. And what's your least dominant?
I'm not ruling, not
Okay.
ruler.
So I just took a picture and I'm gonna figure out how to send it, but it gives something on each of them that's really quick. So for the teacher, your principle is responsibility. And your battlefield, the things that you battle with, would be selective responsibility. Your authority is the generational blessings as they bring forth fruit. The birthright is to know God's deep truths and to know Him experientially, to reveal the presence of God to others. And the major weaknesses for a teacher is that they're passive, they have selective responsibility, they have sight versus faith, and doctrine versus intimacy. So for the giver, we did the giver already. So for the ruler, the principle is freedom. The battlefield for a ruler is exploitation. The authority for the ruler is the highest level of generational blessings that bring freedom. The birthright for a ruler is to release spiritual generational blessings, physically and spiritually, by honoring God's agenda. And the major weakness of a ruler is insensitivity, ethics/integrity, substituting his agenda for God's agenda. So I'm just giving this to everybody. For mercy, the principle is fulfillment, and mercy's battlefield is futility. Mercy's authority is intimacy with God and alignment. Their birthright is to release the holiness of God into their environment and to come into the presence of God and worship God in all of life. The major weakness for mercy gift is impurity. The major weakness is mixture of holy and unholy. And the major weakness is enabling, to protect from pain. Now, an exhorter's principle is sowing, and their battlefield is reaping versus denial. That's interesting. I know I've got an exhorter gift as well. An authority of exhorters influence through relationships and reconciliation to God and others. I know that's one of my gifts. The birthright is to reveal God to others and to mobilize large numbers of people to act on God's will. The major weakness for the exhorter is people pleasing, poor time management, and compromise. All that's so true. We did teach a servant. The principle for a servant is authority, and the battlefield for the servant is a mindset of victimization. The authority for a servant is to pray for leaders, to restore families, and to love the hard cases. The birthright of the servant is to be a life giver to others, especially leaders, to provide the cleansing and authority others require for their destiny. And the major weakness for the servant is the battle for self-worth, worry and anxiety, and enabling. And the last one is prophet. A prophet's principal gift is the design versus their battlefield is fractured relationships. The authority of a prophet is principles for speaking life, light, and truth that call forth destiny. The birthright of a prophet is to help others live in their destiny by providing vision on God's design. And the major weakness for the prophet is non-relational, judgmental, bitterness, and unforgiveness.
That is true.
Yeah, that was real true. Real true. Real true. So this is, it's interesting to hear about whatever the dominant gifts was. I had seen a YouTube, let me see if I can find it. I had seen a YouTube where this pastor went through a teaching with his church on the redemptive gifts, and he was so thorough. He was so thorough. I was just like, wow. I'm gonna see if I can find it. He did, oh, here it is. I found it. So he did this teaching, and there was one he did, it's like a 2-hour teaching on each gift. So I'm telling you, it was very thorough. So I'm gonna send you in chat a link, but there was one that was missing, and I don't remember which one it was missing, but I want you to just pull it up if you're interested in finding out a little bit more about the redemptive gifts. We've got this Arthur Burke's teaching, and then we have other people who have really gone into it and did some, because everything that God gives us, it's got a balance. You have your strengths and you also have your weaknesses. So you have to keep. It's so much easier to just go with our strength. And that's that muscle that we work on. But God wants us to be well-rounded. And I really like what Rebecca was saying. It just depends on what the situation is. But I think we have to learn to be conscious of it, not just go to our go-to. If you're a go-to prophet or you're a go-to exhorter, because that may not be what's called for. It's like, okay, Lord, who needs to speak to this? Who needs to write this book? I had this one lady, she said she wrote this book and it really wasn't that good. And she asked the Lord, who should write the book? So the Lord said, I don't know. Let's say he said the mercy gift should write the book. Well, when the mercy gift wrote the book, it changed everything compared to, I don't know, a ruler or a prophet or a teacher. So even in our writing, Susan and Michael and those of us that are doing some writing, maybe that's something we can look at. Lord, which gift needs to write this book? Because it may change the perspective on it. Or even when we get stuck in those places, who needs to come to I don't care if you're taking a test or whatever it is you're doing, you're dealing with your children. You're dealing with your grandchildren. Okay, who, what part of my spirit needs to speak to what the need is? Because if you just go to your go-to, you just keep hitting this wall. So we're going to have to learn to be much more, I believe we're going to have to learn to be much more flexible than what we have been in the past.
Yeah, I think and you're right, because in every day you walk with him. The word said, with God, all things are possible. We walk with him. We walk with him with the cool of the day. It's in that conversation of daily communicating with him. It's not just, and I think because the church teaches us that the only time we talk to God is when we pray. They forgot to teach us to have a relationship with him, that you can walk with him, you can talk to him at any time. So, when you get into that relationship with him, you know that I'm going, okay, there's some people that I need a touch from them. They need to hear me. Go speak to before I even get there, because we know we're going out. I might be going down the street. I want you to go down that other street because there's somebody there I just need you to just say hello to. So that's being flexible.
And it's not just to say hello to, but to hello to with what their need is. So for that particular,
that's right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I was the other day I was going out and this guy came and the Lord says, oh, what does he want? He said he will not madness. He said, okay, get the full whack of what he wants. Then I had the change. He said, give him the changes. So I'm thinking, hello, Lord. But he said, no, just give him the whole lot change. Give him what he wants. Get him the food and then give him the change. And then there was, you get into this thing like, oh, Lord, you know what, this offering, I want to go and put it in the church because I needed to pray for it. The pastor's going to release some blessing. He says, no, I'm the one that bless it. Do what I tell you to do. So those are the kind of things that you've got to be flexible and be sensitive and be ready to do without us holding to say it has to be done this way. But God, this is the way the church said we have to do it. They said you're gonna cuss us with it. So who's gonna cuss you?
We got to move away from that. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Does anybody else have anything before Mr. Michael takes us in a different direction? Anything else that you need us to deal with?
Well, one thing I got was that in the book that I'm writing about me, is the servant's got to step back and the prophet's got to step forward.
Wow.
Because, yeah, it was just come on me so strong. It's like,
wow.
That's what I've been missing in the book. It's like, yeah, the servant just keeps giving and giving and giving, and the prophet, can go out there and just set people free with, and that's what I believe this book is going to set people free.
So Susan, is that the character arc of the book? Is that how your protagonist changes from the beginning of the book to the end?
Yeah. Changes from one to the other as I'm changing from one to the other. Sort of. I mean, I've always had that prophetic call in my life, but I guess for a lot of people, not me. I'll just step back and, but the Lord's just kind of, I remember I was at a meeting one time of intercessors, and Suzette Ting was there. She was Reinhard Bonker's main intercessor. And, everybody that wanted to get prayed for, go out in front as you usually do. Anyway, I'm standing in the crowd and she's talking away. And next thing, she comes off the platform, pushes away through like 6 rows of people, grabs me by the hand, pulls me right up the front and stands and looks me straight in the eye. And I'm just like almost messing my pants. And she's saying, you see yourself in the back, God wants you up the front. And even thinking about that moment, I'm like, I can feel myself shaking again. It's just like, well, no, I'll just stay back here and not cause any trouble. And the Lord's like, So, yeah.
I think that's really interesting because, the word says that he calls you from a prophet before he ever placed you in your mother's womb.
Exactly. And that's one of the scriptures he gave me 5 minutes after I got saved.
The call, it's the call. He knows what you're called to do. But when the enemy gets that information, you're talking about working double time against us. Oh my Lord.
I'd be glad if I was only working double time. It's just sometimes it's like, you know, I'm copping it on so many fronts to kind of discredit what God's doing in me and through me, you know, and the fact that I'm about to shut the doors on my business should have me, but I'm not. I'm just like, okay, I did that. I put it out there. The people didn't want to receive it. That's cool. We close the doors. We move on to the next thing. There's no emotional tie to a building at all. I just am getting real tired of packing. I feel like I'm packing and unpacking every other week.
I just
Yeah, Lisa, I'm decluttering. Thank you.
Yeah, she got me about the clutter. I have boxes and boxes of books that are cluttered, and I haven't figured out what I'm going to do with them yet. But I'm thinking, my mind is going out to the land and the territory that we live in and the authority that we have in the land. And I'm one of those, I'm just one of those people that believe that sometimes the land itself has been traumatized, that the land itself is caught up in the demonic cycle, and that we're called also to free the land where we are. Now, where I'm at, my grandfather helped start Freemasonry. And when I was trying to move 2-3 years ago, the Lord was like, no, you're not going nowhere. So when I tell you that we have been going on assignment to cleanse the land, we pray over the land, we give the land communion. Now, one of the things that I've not done, and I don't know if I need to go back and do it, is even salt the land. But the Freemasonry and most places have an understanding of how demonic it is. But the Freemasonry ties the land into the demonic cycle, even with the cycles of the sun. And so maybe one of the reasons that God has called you to that territory is to free the land, Susan, so that then there can be fruitfulness and then there can be life. Because a prophet speaks life, because the prophet has the vision to see what God has said about it, regardless of what the enemy has done. But the prophet takes a look at no. You're not, that's not what God has called you to do, the land to do, the trees, the birds. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, and I believe part of that has been like in the book, even the physical places where the protagonist lives goes from being in a concrete bunker under the ground, buried, to she escapes and she gets out. And when she gets out, there is this lush, brilliant green, living rainforest landscape. And she has never known that this place was the place she was meant to live in.
When I was in Georgia, God had me live in a duplex. When I went to see it, I said, wow, this looks weird. Because when you're driving up the road, now there was nothing else, it was a dead end road. When you're driving up the road to the right, excuse me, to the left, you see this big, beautiful house in the back. I said, that looked like the master's house. I just said it because that's the way I felt, right? And then you're driving up the road a little more and you see these duplexes. You keep going. There's this huge, weird looking tree. And there's this stone, like circular thing around. And then it's a church on the left, a cemetery on the right. And you can't go to the back because it's forest. It's just land. And when you go a few miles out, then there's a lake. You can see across the lake, but I don't do woods because I don't do animals and stuff. So I never went that way. You can't get out anyway. So one night, I fell asleep on the couch and I heard a knocking on the door. Mind you, I'm asleep. And I went to the door and I could see through the door, and it was a demonic entity that kind of had the form of a lady, and it was a whole bunch of, it was layers of teeth, and she was screaming. And I'm looking like, saying the Lord rebuke you. I'm asleep. So as I'm asleep, I feel myself praying in my heavenly language. So that next day, I woke up getting the kids ready for school. My son says, "Ma, who was knocking on the door at 3 o'clock in the morning?" Nobody wasn't knocking on the door at 3 o'clock in the morning. That was in my dream, but no, that it happened. It was in the spirit, but it happened, and my kids are in tune. They pick up stuff, especially when they were younger. They picked up stuff in the spirit. So I was like, okay, Lord, what you want me to do? And that's when you tell me about cleansing the land. I was living in the slaves' quarters. I was living in the slaves' quarters. The church was the church that the slaves had. That weird looking tree and that circular stone thing, that's where the slaves would stand to be sold. The slaves were hung on that tree. Out of all the people in America, you sent Crystal to do what? So guess what I had to do? Walk the land, repent on the land, put oil down on the land, bless the land, forgive, all of that stuff. And he had me there for like, how many years was I there? 3? Maybe 3? I think I was there for 3 years.
Did you run into any of the lingering human spirits there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about that.
I don't want to because I don't like it.
Tell me about that.
It was weird, to say the least. It was seeing joy and pain and resiliency. It was like how do you see people's memories? That's what it felt like to me. Like I was looking at a video of someone else's memories. Like they were thinking it, but I was seeing it playing out. And it was very extremely weird. But I think God allowed me that because when I was little, I used to be able to see stuff and I'd be like, I don't want to see that stuff. I don't need to see that stuff because it scared me and I had nobody to ask questions. So without getting answers, it scared me. And then when I realized who I was like, please, I want the gift back. Like, give it back. I didn't know. I know better now. And then when it happened, it was like, okay. I'm like, but wait, like, do I get like, can I put my toe in? You don't have to like push me all the way in to be seeing and experiencing all this stuff because I still need to know what it means. So to see them, and it was like families. It was so weird to me. And I was so ultra super sensitive to everything. I could smell them. I used to smell different foods and nothing was cooking. Like it was one day I called myself looking through the other, because where I lived, that was a dead end. So the other way, I wanted to see what happened the other way. I'm driving and I got kind of lost. So I went to make a U-turn. Now, as I'm driving, I started hearing crying and screaming, and I started seeing blood. And I called my sister and I'm crying. I'm like, oh my God, they used to hang Black people here. She was like, where are you? And I was telling her, I said, I'm by my house. And I went down the other road and I'm hearing all of the wailing and the crying and I'm freaking out. And I'm like, I'm going back around. And I went to turn around and this guy comes off his porch in overalls and had a shotgun. And I'm crying. And I'm like, I think he's going to kill me. She was like, calm down. And she starts praying. And I was like, Lord, please. And I'm praying in tongues. And I could not drive the car. I was stuck. I was like, oh my God, he's going to kill me. And God told me that he wasn't going to kill me. I was just feeling, and I was getting the feeling of what was going on, like what was being felt by the people in that area. So it was an experience. I'm glad he allowed me to have it because I understand, and I needed it for here. I needed to be able to go in different places and know how to speak and know how, because there's a lot of because I'm in a native area.
So did you open up the Silver Channel for them, or what?
I didn't know nothing about that. I didn't know
Okay.
nothing about that.
Okay.
I just released love, peace, and his will. Like everything that was tormented and couldn't find their way, I released them to him. Like that terminology you
That's
took about,
good. That was good. You did it.
yeah,
You did it.
I didn't know anything about. It
Yeah.
was just weird, but I had to learn there so I could do it here too. Because there's a lot of activity that happened with the natives. The funny thing, which I didn't know, was the reason why I went there was because my bloodline has something to do with the things that happen there as well as here.
So for some reason, I just feel like I'm supposed to tell you this, but yesterday I had somebody, they were like, Lisa, I just see you with a full Indian headdress on. That's like the third time I've heard somebody tell me that. A full Indian headdress on.
It's funny because Black people, growing up, I got Indian in my family. It's the joke that all Black people say they got Indian in their family. But the funny thing is that like 90% of us, 90% of us here have native blood. We have that in our bloodline. And I found it when I did that DNA thing, and it tripped me out because when I found it, it tells you the region, and this is the region that my ancestors come from. That's why I'm saying, like, I never even knew about New Mexico. Like, we don't even know the fullness of the plan. We just get glimpses of it. So he gave me an assignment a few years ago, and me and some of the ladies from the church, certain places that he told us to go, we went. We walked it. We oiled it. We had praise and worship. We spoke whatever he told us to speak, prayed in our heavenly language, and we strategically did it in certain places that he told us to go. And they happened to be the courthouse, the hospital, the military, around where the military base is at. Of course, we couldn't get in. Some people could because they were ex-military spouses, so they had access, but I didn't have access. But he told me I didn't need to go in there. I could go to the front and to lay the oil and to speak and pray in my heavenly language. So we did that in like 5 places around town to release certain things into the atmosphere and to root up stuff. And he even had me doing that at the church that I used to attend. He used to have me walking around the church. He used to have me walking around the other house that I live and just speaking certain things. And he showed me one day what I was doing. It was these big bat. I don't even know where the bat came from. It was a huge bat. And I was in the spirit, and a sword came, and my horse named Source, Source, I came in on my horse, and he told me to send out a ping, Ping, like ping. And I was like, cause sonar, cause it was gonna bounce off of things. And that's when I saw the angelic host. I opened up the bat's belly, cut the bat's head off, and all these souls came seeping out like tar. And he said the bat was confusing, was sending out a sound, a religious sound that was confusing the minds of the people, and they had a form of godliness denying the power thereof. I told the
My
pastor
God.
at the church. That's when it all started.
My
Why did I
God.
tell him? Why did I tell him? Because he asked me specifically to pray for something. They were having a marriage ministry, and he was like, Crystal, I need you to pray. I need you to specifically pray for the marriage ministry. Marriages are under attack. Men are they're into pornography and this and that and the third. And you, my intercessor, where God has told me that you're going to strategically pray for different things. So I shared with him, and I was like, God, why did you have me do this? They was like,
This is
okay,
hilarious.
y'all gotta watch her, because
Oh,
that's
the
what they
reason.
said, somebody to watch me. But
So
they
I'm
told me
wondering,
to pray.
Susan, has the Lord said anything to you about praying for the land where you are? Is that something that the Lord is giving you to do? Zareen, is the Lord giving you to pray for the land where you, because I know you guys have a lot of battles. That's what I'm asking.
Yes, Lisa, when I am here, there are 3 Christian colonies around me, and they're all illiterate people, and I've already told you they're working class, slaves. They're like slaves. And for the bread, they go to the Muslim houses, eat their sacrifices, and that's why I'm not, Lord is not allowing me to step out. I'm just praying and worshiping him, and
So
he
has the
has
Lord said
started his
anything to you about praying for the land, the actual ground, the land, I'm asking?
no, I have not.
Okay, check in with them and see if that's something that you're supposed to do. That's
Okay.
that's another prayer strategy that he gives us, like what Crystal was just
Yeah.
saying.
No,
What about for
not
you,
yet. Sorry to
Go
put it,
Yes,
Fazima. No,
yes,
not yet.
Lisa, I want to say that for my own self, I'm praying for the land. Before I shifted here, before I laid the foundation of the house, I did pray for, but not.
So let me say this, Lorraine. There's a difference in praying for the land and cleansing the land. I said that wrong. Ask the Lord if you need to do any cleansing of the land. That's 2 totally different things.
Yes, a few days back, I had a dream where he showed me one corner of the land. I don't know it was my house boundary or which land, but Lord showed me that this corner needs to prayer. You have to pray for this corner. Something green was, I could see something green in that corner, in the foundation.
Yeah, ask the Lord what it is he wants you to do specifically. Because it's not just a matter of going and praying about, yeah. See if he, try to get some more details on what you need to do and what needs to be prayed in that land. What may need to be cleansed. What about you, Susan?
Yeah, I haven't walked the land as such, although it's a very small town. So I've been up and down the main street heaps of times, but not the actual perimeter of the town. But I have made declarations over it, especially to those who are in the leadership in this town.
So check to see the same thing I'm saying to you that I'm going to say to Zareen. See if the Lord wants you to not just pray over it, not just declare it, but cleanse it. Ask the Lord if that land needs cleansing. Michael, what about you?
Yeah, I guess I'll be moving so much. Yeah, no, I haven't had that prompting at all.
Rebecca, have you had to do any cleansing of land?
Oh yeah, we do meet. We do meet. We've got that mandate because obviously if for anything else, United Kingdom is just similar to America. It's got quite a lot of blood and a lot of all of that. So we do take when we meet, it's specifically to bring the nation before the Lord, and it tells us what to do. And that's why I told you about so we are doing that, but obviously it's now to begin to because we are in different places, even though we meet for this nation, is how the Lord will now says, okay, because we dedicate the land to him, we've given it back to him, but obviously, and we've done a lot of repentance, but it's still, I know we still need to do more. So we're meeting and we're asking the Lord of what to do and how to go about cleansing. And because one of the things is, we realized it was one time we went and the Lord denied us access because he says the love for the nation is not in us. So we can't come and stand for the nation, United Kingdom, when we pass negative comments, we say negative things, we don't have any love. So I told them, I said, we can't go in. The Lord says, no. All of us have different opinion about the nation, even though we're living here. So it's not happening.
You hit something right there. That is so important. And I'm just speaking, with the things that we've been doing with the generational curses of slavery, the lingering curses of slavery. There's a lot of people of African descent that does not love the nation, and they don't have the authority to pray for the nation. So what you said, Rebecca, is very, very key. You have to have a love for, because without it, whatever you speak is going to be tainted anyway. What the things that you do will be tainted. So that's really important. There has to be a love. And there's something about being able to see things or asking God just to lift your negative perceptions where you really can't even see clearly. Where, because of the trauma and the injuries and the blah, blah, on and on and on and on. But sometimes we can't even see clearly to pray clearly. And that goes for people we love too. So that's a good point. Okay, guys, I want to go ahead and move on before we get out of here. I really would like, Crystal's going to bring us something on the 24th. And I don't know who's going to bring us something on the 10th, but I'm really kind of feeling like a teaching on how to cleanse land would be good. So if anybody's interested in doing that for next week, just giving us, some points. I don't know if you even want to do that because you already have the information, Crystal. But I really think we need to do something because some of the places that we live in are hard, and it may be something that we can bring some light to and some life to it. So I kind of want to put that out there. And in the meantime, come on, Michael, tell me what it is you're struggling with.
Yeah, I guess for me, I think the challenge is that, I'm kind of working on a lot of individual projects, but they all take like one or 2 years to kind of get out there. And it feels like it's kind of like a place I've never been before, where you have a kind of an idea where you're going in the future. You've got a lot of latitude and discretion, I think, that God's given me on how I do some of the stuff. And you're kind of thinking about, all right, this has taken, like for me, 5 years already to get to this point. Like, how much longer is it going to take before, this thing starts really taking off, and I know that there's a Shay Bynes. She's quite an amazing, entrepreneur lady, and I think she said for her it was like 8 years, 10 years before her business started really moving. And I guess I'm in that place, it just seems to be taking so long, before anything moves. And like, am I doing, what could I be doing to make this quicker? And am I kind of on track even? You haven't been this way before. It just doesn't follow like all the entrepreneurial principles like you would normally expect. It's not following those type of things like a tech startup. It's just not following any of that stuff. So I'm in this place I haven't been before, where everything's new and, kind of really requiring that step of faith to stay committed to it and keep moving with God's program. I feel like I'm doing what he's asked me to do, but I also feel like I don't know if I'm the one causing it to take such a long time. But like the books we're writing, I mean, this last one took me 2.5 years to write. This, this course that we're doing, I think that could take me a year because it's really tough stuff. No one's ever really done something like this before. This Beta Worlds book that Susan and the rest of us are writing, that's so fascinating. We're writing a fiction book for the first time. So each time I'm doing something, it's going into a brand new area. I mean, the first was a Christian book. Second one was a secular business book. And now we're writing a Christian fiction book. And each of them are just like so new. Each time the audience is slightly different. Each time I don't have any experience, going into it. What good is chartered accounting if you're writing a book about, a fiction book about the seven spirits of God? So I feel like I'm continually in this place of, what exactly am I doing?
Well, I want to interject on this, guys. I don't remember what I was doing or when, or God just dropped it or what, but the Lord was telling me that Michael is like Nehemiah. He gives us strategy, and the strategy is always you're working with one hand while you're protecting your family with the other. So he is a builder, and he gives strategies to build. So I'm saying that to you, Michael, and to the group. This thing that God has given him to build will last. It will last. It will last, and it's not for everybody, but he is giving us a strategy to build. So I'm saying, for those of you who choose to, you will be glad. You will be glad that we stuck in there. And God's giving you strategy.
Sorry, Mama Lise. Have you been to the business center in heaven? And I heard there's an angel that is assigned for your businesses. Are you in communication with that angel? Because it shouldn't take that long.
So thanks to Miss Lisa, we've been to the business center, I don't know, 50 times, Lisa? How many times have we been there? And yeah, so no, we've been there. We know that the angel, yeah, definitely. The angel's name. But the stuff that we're doing,
because if it's giving you, sorry, because I'm just looking at, because when I went, I one of the things is always the strategy, the plan, the time, the season, everything that you need to do are being and assigned to you so that you know when, how, what to write, what to do, what to release, what to, all of that is already, and it really should not, and it's more so than now, that because the Lord is bringing changes, so when you are fully aware, you step in, you receive, you download, you write, and it should be out there. So
I would disagree with this, and I guess we can put it to the group to decide. But my experience has been that God uses these things to change me. And part of this changing me thing is about me doing research, me meeting people, me going out beyond my comfort zone, me doing stuff. And this idea of that the way that God works is through shortcuts is not true. I don't believe, I think he does accelerations, but there's no shortcuts to this thing. And it's from what I've experienced is that, I would try something out in the book and I know it's within the mandate, and I'd put it out to the people and they say, no, this is not helping me. This is not useful to me. And then I'd say, okay, let's go back and see what's happening. But I certainly haven't had the case where, everything's in that courtroom and it's just a case of bringing it down. I have the opposite experience to that, definitely. And part of this is after 2.5 years of writing this book, I'm actually a different person. It's not just some sort of academic knowledge that I've got and now, I've written a dictated it successfully, message delivered. No, I'm actually the message. I'm actually carrying this within me because I've labored through it. I've struggled with the issues. I've tried to see where I've come from and where I'm going to. And that process of just changing my thinking, it just seems to take forever. It's just like, all right, my brain's thinking differently. I'm not thinking the same way. And I don't think I would have got that if it was like you described it to be. I'm not saying other people haven't had that, but for me, it's like complete transformation.
That's fine, Michael. Then at the beginning of the conversation, it shouldn't be, why am I here? It's taking this. Well, no, your line and your path is very different. You've got a project that involves you. You got a project that the Lord wants you to stand and testify of. So when you speak about your project will take longer because how the way it work out, like I said, the time and the season, it might be a year that is in there. Some people, it might be now, some people will be in between, some people later. So your project is not one of those projects that it will be now. Your project is the Lord is working with you to say, you are the project. Now that you've experienced this, now you write it. Now you experience this, now you write it. Now you see this, now you write it. That's the way the Lord is working with you. So you can't be in the category of people who will say, so you can't come and say you're tired or you don't know what's going on, why it takes so long. No, that's your path. So that's your path. So you need to speak in that phrase, in that, because it's like you're on the M25 and you want to talk to somebody who is on M4. No, stick to the M25 and then support, strengthen and encourage those who will come to say, oh, you know what? I've been there 7 years. Don't worry, it's fine. It's going to take you this long. Just enjoy. You're the story. You're the project. You're the testimony. Document, write. When you get a bit tired, this is what I do. I go for refreshment with the Lord. It strengthens me again, and I continue with the journey. Because the way you started, it looks as if I'm tired this project. I don't know what's happening. It's frustrating. It's taking too long. Why does it take this long? No, your project is that. That's the way your project is formed. That's the way your project is meant to be. So just get refreshed.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, ma'am. Go on.
Oh, okay. I was thinking about all the times that the message just kept coming. Just keep going. Just keep going. That's all Michael would hear over and over again. Just keep going. And it reminds me of a movie, I don't know, Kevin Costner had years ago called Field of Dreams. And it was like, build it and they will come. Every time, no matter what he was doing, they were like, no, you're fine. Just keep doing what you're doing. Just keep doing what you're doing. But I do remember one of the engagements where Michael was told specifically that there are some people that won't understand it until it's built. There's some that won't come. And there's some builders that will come once they see that you're building. So I'll follow you, Rebecca, but we've been to the business center a lot. and Michael keeps getting the message, just keep going.
Just keep
going. Just keep going.
You just seriously encourage yourself in the Lord. You know you're doing the right thing. You know you're on the right path. And even when you get discouraged that you're not on the right path, you have us to encourage you that you are on the right path. Please, I just closed on my house, not even a month ago. And I got that prophetic word like about 15 years ago. Can we say, God, whose timeline? Am I going to see the promises while I'm in the land of the living? Come on now. It was a very long time ago that I got the prophetic word of a house. I done moved to 3 different states, okay? So prophetic word about me with this land. I still don't have the land yet in the natural, but I know in the spiritual I had it. And I had that vision, a full-on vision in 2007. So it's just like it was said, so many people, it's working on us so that we absolutely, we are part of the vision. It's so weird how he does that to me. He shows me things and I'm thinking, like I told Zareen, oh God, I can't wait till you do it. No, we do it. We are part of that. That's why we get to see it. That's why we walk and we like, I feel like I did that before. Because we walking out the pages of the book. But it's a lot that goes into those pages. People look at the Bible and be like, oh, Noah built the ark. You know how many years it took for him to build that ark? Like, seriously, we just see the end and we live in a microwave society. We want things, because I don't know about y'all, but a lot of stuff that he said, I keep saying, is it burnt? Like, is it undercooked? Am I undercooked? Am I overcooked? Can I scratch this recipe and do something else? Because it's not tasting right. It's not looking right. It's not happening right. But that's because we are so worried about time. That's another thing. Time. We are so worried about time. Yes, we are being trained to rule and reign. And outside of our own expectations of what time is. And oh, I've been doing this for so long, and now I'm this age, and yeah, I know, Michael. I know. I'm right there with you, brother. I'm right there with you. I've been doing this for so long, and now I'm this age, and I need to be here. But whose expectation is that? Because I'm telling you, you right where he needs you to be. Because if you weren't, we wouldn't be here. But I gotta go, y'all, because I gotta go pick up Christian from work.
Okay, good.
Yep, okay.
I thought you had to go and eat, Miss Crystal.
Oh no, I gotta go get my kid. Then I'm coming back to eat.
Who's
I hope
gonna
he's-
lead next week? I can't be here next week. Who's gonna lead? I'm looking for a volunteer. Going once, going twice? Okay, we'll just meet and talk then next week. Crystal, you're gonna do the 24th. Make sure you record it for me.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Love you guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.